ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, as we are going to be jumping on to game number 2 here in just a second between these players. And interestingly enough, Todd, I've been looking at the record here of FireCake going through these qualifiers, and literally every single game he's won thus far, has been against a French player. Every single game. Yeah, every single one. So, Alres was one to fall to him. And then to be fair, NIRS range is Romanian, so that's where my theory kind of plummets out the window. So up until that point, everyone was French. There you go. Oh well.
Okay, 1-0 for Delphi, and Delphi looked pretty good in this game. I really like the way he played that. Get a couple mutas, even though he did a few mistakes, like not cancelling the car pace. Other than that, some really nice moves in the Zerg versus Zerg.
Yeah, and again, I mean, just to kind of expand on that, there really are. I mean, we may have mentioned it before in the cast, but there really are two big styles of Mutalist play in this matchup. There's the one where you literally just get 8 or 9 Mutalisks and then no more, and from there on try and force your opponent to take the precautions necessary to deal with a full airborne assault. And then there's the very, very scary but sometimes extremely volatile method of committing a lot to Mutalisks, which either happens in Spire versus Spire, or either happens if one player thinks that they're splitting and multitasking is better than their opponent, which can work effectively, but it's very rare that you would end up seeing that eventuality. So, anyway, jumping on into game number 2.
And those Zergs, they really like Daybreak for Mirror. Everybody keeps picking it.
Yes, they do indeed. I think for me, it's really the go-to map for ZVZ, because there's not really too many ways to really exploit some kind of architecture on the map. Of course, it's ZVZ and it's a mirror, so it doesn't really matter to a certain degree in terms of architecture. But this map lends itself more to macro Zerg, I think, than any other map. Like, you don't, unless it's like a massive map like Whirlwind. I haven't seen enough ZVZ on Whirlwind to really know, but like all of the focus on this map is really about denying a third, and then from there on going for macro and just trying to starve your opponent out. So I think people feel very comfortable on it. I mean, do you feel comfortable in it as a Protoss going into all your matchups? Because for me, it seems like one of the maps that everyone just kind of gets. Like,
I don't really like it against Zerg, but against Terran, I like it.
Okay. And then in PvP? Or?
No, I don't really like it, because it's a little bit too turtly and tricky, because you can't really play Blink, I like the maps where you can play Blink.
Yeah.
And the way, the ledges are made around the main, make it so that if you blink in the main, you can't blink out against Roboplay, for example.
Yeah.
So then it's one of those maps where like you have to play either Robo or Phoenixes, and this is always like a little bit dumb. I find those maps where you can mostly play Robo and Phoenixes. It's like super tricky. You will get so many build order loss. Like one mistake will decide the game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There is more gamble too, I think.
Yeah. In terms of PvP, I'm also a big fan of the Blink maps, like Cloud Kingdom, etc. It makes for a very interesting dynamic. So anyway, on to ZVZ still. Now we do have Delphi for now, just throwing down his gas. Meanwhile, FireCake getting his gas. There might be a little speed window open for Delphi, but I don't think it's really going to matter too much here. Delphi's not the kind of player that gets super aggressive on the 1 or 2 base. The only opportunity I was going to see that from him would have been on Ohana, like hiding some Zerglings and then getting aggressive with that. But FireCake, from what I remember, I'm trying to think who he actually played against in the France Nationals, because I seem to remember him playing a ZVZ and playing really cheesy. So I'm going to look that up.
That's what Liquipedia is for. So convenient.
It's fantastic. I adore it for these kinds of things, because basically it's the best friend to a caster if you want to bring statistics into the field. So For now, both players just making the 2 lings each, which is pretty darn common. And queens are on the way. So not really too many deviations. That small speed window of around 20 seconds does exist, but again, I don't think it's going to get exploited.
And very early bailing nest from Delphi here.
Ooh. Yeah, indeed. He is getting a few more drones. So it's looking really, for me, for Delphi, it's looking really similar to game number 1, how he played that out. And there was one thing that I forgot to mention on map number 1, which is with the placement of the bailing nest that you see for Delphi, like, he creates, again, yes, it's SimCity and he walls it off, but he creates just great spots to put his queens. I think we mentioned it early on in the cast, actually, but
yeah.
It's something that, you know, not only him, but a lot of Zergs are doing. Now, FireCakes is a little bit further forwards. It's like 1 hex extra forwards, which means that it's not as defensive, but it can still matter because of the surface area that queens actually do cover.
And yeah, pretty nice building placement by both. I like Delphi's a little bit more, I would say. What about the evolution chambers? Like, do you think they should put them up front, or like, are they at risk of getting sniped by like a potential roach attack?
That's a very good question. Now, I do like them being at the front. It's relatively rare that you would see the evolution chambers sniped off, even if they were at the front, and then thus denying someone of like a timing of an upgrade that they were getting, you know, halfway through whilst an engagement does come. So I do like them at the front. But as the game goes on further and further, they become more of a hindrance than anything. So they're great for defense early game, but not so useful later on, if you know what I mean. So.
And I really like Delphi's build a lot more. He always has Lair much earlier, and I think we might see Mutas again.
Could do.
Oh, this matchup is actually quite entertaining, I feel, right now, because it's so interesting the way they place their overlords. Like, they can see all-ins coming, and then they have time to prepare. And behind that, they play like, it feels almost like super greedy, you know? They only make drones, they take quick 4 gases, they make so many units. But yet, if some attack comes, since everything is super slow except Zerglings, it can only be Zerglings, so then they can make Banelings and defense.
Yeah.
I had never really seen ZVZ at like played at a good level.
Have you? Are you suddenly developing this interest in it, or are you like trolling me? Because
No, I think it's interesting.
yeah, there's one way. There's one way that some Zergs do go about negating that. But hold the phone. I'll talk about that in a second. Whilst we have Delphi getting a bit aggressive here. Looking to poke forwards with Zerglings and Banelings, but I don't think he's going to get too much done. These Banelings need to be very, very good. And actually, that was a great detonation. Yeah. But he gets cleaned up in the process as well. Anyway, so it's Spire versus Infestation Pit again. Very similar to last game. But, okay, so what was I going to say? One way people negate all of this Overlord spread across the map to see what's going on is a very, very uncommonly used strategy, but something that TSL Hyun has used to great effect in weekly tournaments. And that is, when you see your opponent moving out, generally you then commit a load of lava to like reinforcements, like roaches, Zerglings, blah, 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 blah. But TSL Hyun recently has been developing the style of like 3 Overseers if he knows his opponent isn't going Mutalisks. And then with the 3 Overseers, just kind of contaminating every single hatchery whilst he's moving across the map. So he maxes out on his move out across the map, and his opponent's stuck at like 150 supply because he can't replenish lava. It's ridiculous and really hard to orchestrate, but if you can make it work, it's the sickest looking thing ever. It's so cool.
Hyun is so good, man.
Yeah, he really is.
He could win with like Mass Corruptors only in ZVZ or something. Just sniping overlords and then going forward with spines. Hyun is really, really good.
Yeah, he is. So, looks like the Mutalisks are going to come in here. They do actually catch some Infestors here, but they're not going to get too much damage done to them. And he's actually split up his Mutalisks.
Yeah, he made him spend a lot of fungal. That last fungal wasn't necessary, and now there is no fungal left, and he has a couple Mutas here ready to harass. He should go for a couple of drones maybe. There is no... Actually, yeah, there is 4 Infestors about to finish, but no one of them were in the main. I guess they will get there pretty quickly because of the creep.
Yeah, they did. Right. I think also, I mean, the queens do help out quite a lot. He has quite a bit of energy on them for transfuses. So if, for example, the Mutalisk wanted to come in and try and deal with the queens before going for drones, as the queens will be shooting away at them, obviously, then the transfuses will keep them quite heavily alive. Meanwhile, what else do we have going on? Spores on the way, still for Fire. I think that's an overextension by quite a bit, actually. I don't think he needed those spores with the infestors and queens out that he's got. I mean, he's got 6 queens right now across 3 bases.
Yeah.
Along with the infestors, I don't think he needed the spores.
I think he already did this last game. He's getting the +2 range upgrade very early, and that's pretty good for him. But in the last game, I think he fought like just right before he had it, but it was kind of a forced fight. But yeah, in this game, it's going to be very good for him if he can maybe capitalize on it. But I don't know right now. There's just that much more supply for Delphi, and now he's just going to suicide his Mutas to try to take out a bunch of drones. He got 6.
Not too bad at
the last
all.
one. Oh wow, that Muta was about to shoot.
Yeah, I mean, that was an alright trade. Your Mutalisks really aren't going to do too much else other than what they just did there. And then once it gets to the situation where you're maxing out, which Delphi in theoretical terms is actually going to do pretty quickly here, with his 4th base up and running and he's already at 150 supply, then the Mutalisks are just dead supply. They just don't do anything for you. So...
And both of them are going to take for Hydralisks, but Delphi, he has a force base in the middle of the map, so from now on, the more he waits, the much better it's going to be for him. I want to take a look at Delphi's saturation in each base. 17 in his 3rd. 20 in his natural. And 17 in his main. Yeah, and now he's going to have a couple drones at his force, say like 6. Or FireCake does scout the force base, so I think this might trigger some kind of attack pretty soon, but Delphi does have a lot of supplies, soon gonna have the +2 attack for the ranged units. He has a couple spines as well. Actually, FireCake, he's just gonna take his own force. And income-wise, thanks to his saturation, Delphi with 77 drones is at 2,200 income, whereas FireCake is at 2,000, so the more he waits, the better for now.
Yeah, the one thing that FireCake had going for him in that period of time just then was the fact that his upgrades were far superior to Delphi's. But now, I mean, the reason he couldn't have pushed in there is because there was just so much tanking ability for Delphi because he had so many roaches in comparison to his opponent. So it would have been very hard to crush through anyway. And now, with Delphi's upgrades kind of tying things up here with FireCake, then Delphi, I can't help but feel that is in a pretty good spot right now, and he has so much more tanking ability in those roaches, which Hydralisks in these numbers right now don't really negate too easily. It's going to be about fungals, and Zergling's actually even getting in here, killing off some queens, limiting that lava. Very, very nicely done here by Delphi. I'm surprised he was able to get in, but look at this, a massive attack at the 4th as well. Delphi trying to exploit all the angles here and just going for mass infested Terrans. That's going to add massive amounts of DPS to this force.
I think FireCake had a decent concave, but he has maybe too many Hydralisks, but at least they're kind of spread out and they didn't have to take that much damage, so he's going to be able to hold here. Pretty nice hold. I think they were even on upgrades. Delphi hit this timing where he had the +2 attack, but defenders advantage for FireCake, some pretty decent fungals. Made him hold. Look at those infestors of Delphi. He needs to transfuse those. They're very low on HP. And he's taking a 5th right now. Isn't it common, like if you're maxed and nobody's attacking, to get a hive in ZVZ?
It can be, yeah. But some people will end up just going for the hive for the 3-3 upgrades, which is sometimes more important than the actual check transition. And right now, FireCake looking at to put some pressure on himself. I don't know if he should be going for this. Because right now, I mean, Delphi's reinforcing quite nicely. The spines were soaking up quite a bit of damage as well. And FireCake will be pushed back, and Delphi's still way ahead of his opponent in supply. I don't think FireCake was able to go for that trade economically because of how long Delphi has had his 4th up in comparison to FireCake.
And I think Delphi, if he was to attack again the force base of FireCake and maybe snipe the hatch, because it's kind of low on HP, he would secure himself this game and his slot in semifinals.
Yeah, he probably would end up doing so. You're right. And he's one game up very, very convincingly against FireCake in game number 1. And in game number 2 here, FireCake's I can't help but feel that he might be spreading himself a little bit thinly here. These units have been spoiled. These roaches going up to the north and sacrificing these roaches, just like 8 or 9 roaches at this point in the game, can be a big deal if he's going to allow Delphi to continue accruing the bank and continue allowing him to make the massive army in comparison to his.
And he does have Burrow. Will be interesting to see if he chooses to use Burrow. And he has a few more roaches in the third of Delphi, just trying to do some harass here, buying himself some time. Delphi did start the level 2 carapace upgrade for his units. FireCake did not. And I think FireCake's best chance right now will be to get a lot of infestors and just like kind of hope that Delphi will attack and lose everything. But Delphi has so much supply. He started his hive now, 132 army supply to 82 now. Delphi spent a lot of his drones making spine crawlers, so now actually his economy is not going to be going that high, but maybe he just wanted to replace those with units because he's going to try to attack and do a lot of damage now.
This is looking really, really bad for FireCake. I mean, again, Delphi's army is like doubling FireCake's in terms of value, and from that point on, I mean, with 33 roaches to tank and 20 hydralisks to deal out the DPS, FireCake just doesn't have the bank to catch up. He's trying to with a lot of roaches, but even if he catches up in terms of that roach count, there's still an extra 16 hydralisks dealing the damage from the back, as well as 4 extra infestors in comparison. Well, he's actually at a lack of 4 infestors. Those infestor counts are in favor of FireCake, so it's going to be interesting to see where he plants the fungals and if he wants to commit to a lot of infested Terrans.
And look at the gas of of Delphi. Even if he was to lose this army, he can remake such a huge army of like whatever Broodlords, Ultras.
And also the lava count. Look at that. It's 58 lava stocked up against 21. So anything that goes on in terms of trades here is going to be in Delphi's favor because he has that bank. He has the lava. He has every single means by which to replenish a really well-balanced army of roaches and infestors. And he even has his hive finished and he's getting that great Aspire.
Look at this. Oh, they're going to be seen.
I think that, yep. Poor guys. Oh dear. Well, it was worth a shot. As he does have +3 missile attacks on the way right now for his roaches as well as it hydras.
I think we're going to see Broodlords.
Yeah,
I'm liking
I think
it.
so. And, I mean, what does FireCake have to really deal with that? He's getting his own Spire, so he technically could get Corruptors, but he's maxed. So he's going to have to kill off his own army as well as, I mean, Delphi already had to kill off a bit of his own army, but, you know, why not to get out some very, very nice Broodlords? Oh, but look at this. That's scary. That's a lot of infested Terrans. But this might open a window. This might open a window, because all of that energy being expended on that many infested Terrans, he might kill off or try and clean this up, and then say, hey, you've just lost a ton of energy.
If those Broodlords were to die, it would be very bad for Delphi. He needs to spam his own infested. Why didn't he do that?
Well, that was wise. He cancelled them and moved them back. That's a massive army here for FireCake. But again, right now, he doesn't have any energy left on his infestors in comparison to the infestors that Delphi has, which have plenty of energy left over. Fungal growth's hitting a lot of the roaches as opposed to the infested Terrans. And I think Delphi might be able to clean this up. There's still a lot more reinforcements coming here from FireCake, though. 7 Broodlords are on the way right now for Delphi. And he cleans all of that up at the front. Meanwhile, FireCake's trying to remax with 11 Hydralisks and 34 roaches, getting tongue-tied, but those Broodlords are going to cause havoc here for FireCake.
And yeah, really nice hold here from Delphi, but wait, what happened? Delphi has no economy.
Unit carrying station, 42 drones.
He spent everything he had on spines, and since he used all his drones, a lot of drones to make the spines, then he wasn't gathering as much cash that he should have. So even though he has like this super strong army, he's kind of at risk to get maybe eliminated. I guess he has those spines are going to be useful to defend, but
yeah,
if FireCake is smart, he can just keep moving around. Look, he's sending units top left, and like the cash of Delphi is so low.
Yeah, and again, as you said, FireCake is sending himself everywhere. He's buying time to get Corruptors out to deal with the Broodlords, and he already has now 7 Corruptors out. So those are going to come along, and unless they get like fungled in one spot, then he could actually deal with this quite nicely. How many infested Terrans is he going to be able to throw down here? If the Corruptors go down, then the Broodlords win the day. But if the Corruptors kill off the Broodlords, then they're going to be a little bit scary. But the Corruptors are falling pretty darn quickly here. I think Delphi might have enough to crush through, despite being at a supply disadvantage.
Yeah, but look at the money of FireCake. He could just make a whole bunch of mutas and snipe everything.
Yeah. There are some Broodlords trying to hold on to the fourth here of Delphi. Meanwhile, FireCake trying to rip up those spine crawlers. Look at this, Delphi just continually powering forward with this. The Hydralisks are going to be pretty darn good against the Corruptors once they end up popping if he can keep them alive. And he has his own Corruptors as well. So, how many... you need Corruptors. Does FireCake even have a Great Aspire? No, he doesn't. So even if he had a Great Aspire, once he cleans up his opponent's Broodlords, he can't morph them into Broodlords himself.
Yeah, but he has money. And he has like the bottom right base still mining quite much. Look at the income tab.
Oh god, this is weird.
It should have been an easy win for Delphi, but I don't know, he goofed around a little bit too much with all the spines, and you can't really be on 40 drones.
Delphi, right? I can't help but feel that with these Broodlords, Delphi still wins, but there are 11 Corruptors out right now for FireCake, and 4 more Infestors on the way.
Yeah, but Delphi has Infestors. He can just fungal and use Infested on the Corruptors. And cover them, basically. He has a couple Hydralisks as well with his army, and those are going to do a lot of damage because they got +3 attack upgrade. But they're just base trading right now. Wow, nice transfuses on the spine quarters at the natural of Delphi. They're going to take out a couple roaches. And FireCake burrowing his own Infestors. Oh wow, look at those drones chasing at the third base of Delphi. Those drones were like chasing the 2 Infestors.
I mean, technically speaking, then like both of them have quite a good Infestor count out. Both of them are going to have around 10 Infestors, and both of them are like almost at exactly identical supply with not many drones left. So the armies are very similar, and here's what happens. I think if Delphi spreads out his Broodlords, if he throws down... Wait, how many buildings does he have?
Yeah, he only has his main. He has like the gases at his third, so I think regardless, he should be able to force a fight. Or maybe if FireCake burrows... Is there any overseer? Wait.
I think what needs to happen is Delphi needs to save... For Delphi to win, he needs to save up tons of energy on his infested Terran, on his Infestors, throw down a load of infested Terrans as well as Fungals to lock the Corruptors in place, and then keep his Broodlords away from that for the longest time.
His Broodlords are gonna get caught.
Oh no! Oh, FireCake somehow manages to find a present for himself in the middle of the map. It's Christmas for FireCake, and that could spell doom.
Yeah.
There's so many Fungals left for FireCake as well. He's going to be able to win this. But look, where are the Infestors going for Delphi?
He's going to try to eliminate him.
Is that his last building? No, he has another high.
Yeah, he can make one last hatch, but he has to be very quick about it. He's going to lose both of his buildings. He's not remaking any building right now. He's trying to scramble and make a hatch. He's going to be able to, but there's a couple infested Terran ready to finish it, and he only has money for 1 or 2 more buildings.
There's an extractor at the other side of the base as well, at the other side of the map as well.
Oh, he didn't cancel.
Does he have any drones left? He has 3 drones. He can make extractors, but
FireCake has 1 overseer left, and it was at bottom right of the map, and he completely forgot about it. If he had it with his army, this would have been easy win.
What is going on? This is ridiculous.
He's remade an extractor top left, but there is 3 Infestors right next to it, and he's gonna see it because he's being revealed. I'm looking at Delphi's view. I think Delphi takes it.
Delphi could, yeah. He's killed last extractor. Kill last extractor. Oh no, wait.
Right.
He's surrounding the other extractor.
On the right one.
Yeah.
Wait, where is the last building? Oh, there is one last extractor on the left side.
And it's really well protected. Yeah. Like, how does he kill that right now?
Yeah, almost impossible.
Okay. He has how many units? Okay, he has 1 Roach, 1 Hydralisk, and 8 Infestors. I guess he just goes for the nuke. The he's
gonna try to take it out.
No way can he get it. No way. Can he get it? No.
Nah, if all of those infested were of Delphi, maybe, but...
Yeah. I suddenly had like flash visions of those infested Terrans of FireCake actually shooting his own extractor, and I was like, no, what are you doing? But
That's pretty insane. Actually, he has another extractor.
Yeah, Delphi loses. This is, what does he have? The one roach and the hero roach and the hero hydra. Oh, and the hero infested now. There we go. Well played, ladies and gentlemen. FireCake somehow manages to take this game. That was ludicrous.
Pretty insane.
That's wow.
An update in the other games. I'm seeing that on the other stream, Mini Razor is 1-1 against Leipzig.
Yeah.
So the winner of that will be playing against Hanfi. And the winner of FireCake against Delphi will be playing against Devil from Czech Republic, I believe. Could be wrong, but I think so.
I think it's Czech Republic, yeah, Devil.
Yes. We're gonna have a quick break.
Okay.
So we'll be right back. Stay with us, guys, and we're gonna conclude this series pretty soon.
See you in a bit.